Hello, everyone. Welcome to our tour space. Today is the International Day of Peace, so we thought we would share a discussion discussing how to teach peace. So I have educators Jillian Johnson and Dene Gainey joining me today. So let me see if they can come on. That way I can add them on really quickly. All right. I see Jillian's on. Let me wait for Dene to come on. Hi, Jillian. How are you doing today?
I am great. How are you, Michelle?
I'm doing well, doing well. I'm just waiting a second for Dene to join as well. Let me see if I can invite him. So before we get into anything, I wanted to discuss peaceful education and just the definition of it. So a key action in promoting peace is education, and teachers are more than educators. One role of teachers that may be overlooked is that of a peace builder. With ongoing global conflict, it's important for teachers to expose their students to those global issues and incite motivation in their students to be advocates for peace, both in their communities and globally. Okay, so Dene, I think, is in. Let me invite him to speak. Okay, well, Dean is getting that ready. Jillian, why don't you start with introducing yourself and sharing your background?
Sure. So my name is Jillian Johnson, and I am a teacher in Orlando, Florida. I've taught for 10 years now, and I love it, even amidst the current problems or
Mhm.
we'll say challenges that we're facing in education right now. But no, I love what I do. Right now, I am in a really exciting role of doing a STEM coordination position and teaching STEM at our school. So it's been an exciting year. Kind of trying to incorporate more hands-on learning and STEM education for all of our children, and it's just been a really hard working year,
Mhm.
but also very, very rewarding.
That's good to hear. I think, with the past few years, everything that's been going on with the world, I'm sure education took, a big hit. And so I'm sure you guys had to obviously shift, so many ways of how you would do things. So I'm excited to get into this topic and kind of discuss it, especially, with the last few years and what's been going on.
Definitely.
Let me see if Dean, I invited you to speak. Let me see, were you able to get the invite? Let me see if it worked. Okay, let me see. So while we get that straightened out with Dean, let's get into it. So let's go ahead and get started, Jillian. So what does teaching peace mean to you?
Well, I mean, really, the whole idea of
Mhm.
peace, you know, I think it's more of a overall feeling that the students really need to embrace in their own lives. And like you were saying, in the introduction, it's important that they become advocates for peace for, themselves
Mhm.
first, and then letting that extend out to their community and, hopefully
Right.
globally. Um, I mean, within teaching elementary education and working with smaller children, it's so important that they have that comfort and just the sense of safety
Mm.
among their peers, among their teachers and just others in general, because we're not going to learn very much if we're feeling afraid, if we're feeling embarrassed or shy, or you know, uh, you know, pr- just any sort of judgment or fear of opening up to who we
Mhm.
are, and especially when it's you know talking about learning. Learning is one of the most vulnerable things
Yeah.
that we do. We have to open up what we don't know and what we, might think. And it's very scary to do because we don't want others to perceive us in the wrong light.
Right.
And it's hard to make mistakes, right? Because we're already hard on ourselves. We don't need anybody else being hard on us. And when you have that uh, feeling of discomfort, and you don't feel at peace, you don't feel safe to open up, to take risks with your
Mhm.
learning. And um, it's it's very, very apparent, especially now we're in the back to school time. And most classrooms will take the time to carve out class building time, for the students to get to know one another, of course. But it goes even deeper, again, to kind of build that safety and the security among all of the learners inside of that classroom. So yeah, I mean, teaching peace, I feel like that is probably one of the most important elements when it comes to trying to set the foundation of like a learning environment, because those kids, they have to feel that comfort
Mhm.
and that safety with what they're thinking and what they're learning.
Absolutely. And I mean, we spend most of our time, when we're younger, in school. And so I totally agree. I think it is very important, especially with our peers. We may not always feel it from our educators or our teachers. So I think it's great that you're an advocate for that and you're help kids with that as well. Um, oh, I think Dean also came on. So Dean, if you wanted to just share your background really quickly, and then we can kind of get into the questions as well.
Absolutely. Hello, Jillian.
Hello.
I'm so happy to be here. My name is Dene Gainey. I am also a teacher in the Central Florida area, actually working in Polk County, grade 7 and 8, ELA and drama. I also have been teaching for, I can't believe I'm saying this, for 18 years. And
Wow.
I am author, singer, songwriter, a few other things as well. But that's me in a nutshell.
That's great. Love it. And I had the great pleasure of connecting with both at ISTE this past year. So I'm really excited to discuss this topic with you guys, especially after meeting and sharing our goals and sharing our values together. So Dean, what does teaching peace mean to you?
Honestly, I see teaching peace as an opportunity to. I'm so happy to be here. My name is Dene Gainey. I am also a teacher in the Central Florida area, actually working in Polk County, grade 7 and 8, ELA and drama. I also have been teaching for, I can't believe I'm saying this, for 18 years. And
Wow.
I am author, singer, songwriter, a few other things as well. But that's me in a nutshell.
That's great. Love it. And I had the great pleasure of connecting with both at ISTE this past year. So I'm really excited to discuss this topic with you guys, especially after meeting and sharing our goals and sharing our values together. So Dean, what does teaching peace mean to you?
Honestly, I see teaching peace as an opportunity to show students what it means to live in peace. I
Mhm.
think peace comes when we know where we are. We can identify who we are, and perhaps even um, our presence or situatedness within all of that. I think the variety of experiences that I have had in various realms of life have brought me to a place of I know. Um, Better today, who I am than I did 5 years
Mhm.
ago, and so I can live my life in a place of peace. Maybe not perfect peace, but I
Mhm.
can live my life in a place of peace because I have these opportunities, like I said, to do these different types of things. I know what makes me happy. I
Mhm.
know where I find strength. I know where I feel free in those areas and moments of life. For example, acting on a stage. I love
Mhm.
the opportunities to be able to tap into that creative talent of singing or even acting in a musical or a drama or what have you. And
Mhm.
so, being involved in those kinds of things and having those opportunities to do that, I think provides balance. Obviously, it's not all work, but it's outlets. It's me being able to say, gosh, that's me. I can do this. I like that. I enjoy
Mhm.
that. And so creating that balance in life and knowing that it's okay to have those opportunities to be expressive and not think about work, I think brings you into what to have peace in the sense of I'm balanced. I can do these things and I can enjoy life because I know that it's not or it's meant to be enjoyed, I guess is what I'm trying to
Yes.
say.
That's a great point. And I think when we're in school, I think at a young age, we can understand peace in that way and we find peace in our own ways and we find our own outlets and what makes us happy. But I feel like, once we hit our teen years and then kind of go into high school, that is where we kind of get unsure about ourselves and what we're doing and working, a different part of our lives. And at least for me personally, I didn't find peace until my like late 20s, which is now. So I think from like high school on, after that, it's just like this really abrupt time in your life. And so I think if we can kind of help students and help kids with finding that peace, at least in school, since we're there most of the time, I think that's great.
Definitely. And Michelle, that was making me think of today in the
Mm-hmm.
cafeteria. We had, for some reason, today was just one of those days where there was just a lot of conflict going
Mm-hmm.
on. Usually they're raising their hands because they need help with, opening a juice box or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And I felt like every hand I was coming to help was all about, well, he said this or she said this, and there was just a lot of arguments happening, and over little things which we think are silly, but it's not silly to them
Right.
in that moment. And it was just eye opening to kind of realize, like, you know all of these children, like, we're all still learning how to deal with conflict. I
Yeah.
mean, us as adults, we see that all the time, especially with politics or
Mm-hmm.
different things, like any disagreement. Even adults have a very difficult time when it comes to managing conflict. And we're always dealing with this
Mm-hmm.
as humans, right? And it was opening my eyes this morning, or this afternoon, in the cafeteria, seeing it all, because I was just reflecting way more today because of, International Peace Day,
Mm-hmm.
and thinking about, how we as adults handle conflict, and how we, have always struggled with this since we're, tiny.
Right. Right.
And yeah, I mean, the same things that we try to teach our kids, or, our own children, over, or, that we might have, or our students, it's like we forget to take the advice that we're giving
Mm-hmm.
to them, you know?
Okay, that's true.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like a lot of times it's, like we're being hypocritical,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, like we get so hard on the kids for, tattling on their friends, or for having these little arguments, or, things over things that we think aren't important. But again, it's like the exact same thing us adults are all experiencing. And it's just different problems, right?
Right.
It's just different kinds of issues we're all bickering about. But the whole struggle of like managing the conflict, I feel like that's just like a human issue that we all kind of need a little bit of guidance with.
Definitely. And I feel like sometimes kids handle conflict much better than adults, and they seem to get along better than, most adults do, which I think is really funny. And so yeah, I think we could definitely learn from them in that way. So Dean, you kind of mentioned how you find peace now. Jillian, how do you find peace, on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I mean, a lot of it is reflection, I
Mm-hmm.
think. Just kind of like, a lot of times I find myself getting caught up in, different things happening. Like, life is moving
Right.
fast and things are stressful. There's a lot going on. And I think a lot of times, in those moments, it's going 100 miles an hour. But when I kind of am feeling like it's going too fast like that, or I'm feeling worked up, or there might be an issue, or, conflict going on with someone, um, just taking that step back to reflect on the reality of things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm reflecting on some positives that happened, and it helps me kind of, focus on the good rather than harping on the bad.
True. Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm stepping back to reflect on, all of those amazing experiences or qualities I had with this friend that I'm, having a conflict with, and it helps me to kind of see past the issues we're kind of going against. So I think, just reflecting
Mm-hmm.
on, big picture kind of thing, and kind of stepping outside of it.
Yes, absolutely. Dean, was there anything else you wanted to add to that question?
Um, I would probably just want to say that I would agree. I think there's major benefits to being able to take a step back and sort of process. I think conflict today is almost more at a heightened degree than it ever has been. Yes, I think we've dealt with things throughout the years, but there's so much more going on today that could potentially create conflict. And so I really believe that having those moments to think about something else, even taking time to step back and process, are
Mm-hmm.
powerful in as much as we get to look at it um, from a reflective point of view, or we get to take our eyes off of it and come back to it, and maybe we'll be able to see that thing a little bit differently than we saw it before.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with both of you. So coming from a educator's perspective, why is it important for young people to learn peace building skills?
Well, I would definitely say it's, like I'm thinking in the mindset of my STEM lab.
Mhm.
So right now I'm working with the kids are coming in and they're getting like an introduction to the STEM lab, like what are we going to do in here, and how to be safe and that kind of thing. And one of the topics we talk about is how to work with others, and that whole collaboration aspect. And today I was talking to them STEM is so fun, and we get to make things and create things and solve problems and build stuff, and I said, there's all these great things. But then I said, guys, we also get really angry when we do STEM. We
Oh.
also get jealous, and we also feel frustrated, and we also feel angry, and, all of these other emotions as well that aren't as happy.
Hmm.
And I'm trying to let them all know that, those emotions are not things that we're trying to avoid. We have those emotions for a reason,
Right.
right? But we want to avoid letting those emotions take us to that conflict in a negative way. We don't want to be hitting our friends and, calling them
Hmm.
names and, having a whole, horrible conflict in
Right.
there. And they were able to kind of like, the light bulb kind of clicked for them in a way, because they were like, oh wait, because we've all kind of had those moments where we've spent a lot of time, making something, putting our heart in thing, and having it not go the way we
Right.
planned.
Hmm.
And it's frustrating, it's sad,
Definitely.
it's all of those things. And again, even us as adults, we're still learning how to manage that type of
Hmm.
emotion in the, positive or correct way. And I think just practicing it like in controlled environments, you have the support of teachers that know how to kind of help to structure that and guide it in a healthy way. Just kind of like putting that light on it so that the kids know, guys, it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to get really angry when something doesn't go right. It's okay.
Hmm.
And letting them realize that, so they're not kind of like hiding that emotion, because as we all know, if we hide our emotions,
Right. Or
it's
suppress it.
it's
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. And again, I think it's kind of letting them be more aware of all of that, and in like a safe environment that's kind of more um, you know like supportive
Right.
to
Right.
get them to kind of recognize and practice all of that.
Absolutely. Dean, did you want to speak on that point as well?
Yes, I would add, why is it important to teach our kids peace and how to live in peace? I think um, too often, going the way of conflict and not living or trying to perpetuate peace is the easy way. And so I think, in a nutshell, it's important to teach kids that, because it's not the easy way. I think the reality is, and it's so interesting because yesterday's I teach ELA, obviously, but yesterday in my class, we have a daily quote of the day, very intentional with my choices. But we're reading a Rick Riordan book
Hmm.
in class, and the quote is actually by Rick Riordan, and I found it very profound. But it says, the right choice is hardly ever the easy choice.
Hmm.
And so having the opportunity to talk about that with students, I think sometimes it's easy to go the way that everybody else goes, or sometimes it's easy to go a certain way because you've always gone that way. But I believe that sometimes we have to come to grips with the fact that sometimes the right choice is not easy.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes, but because it's new, maybe because it's different, because we're not used to it,
Yeah.
because maybe uncomfortable, because it makes us vulnerable. But I believe that it's worth trying. It's worth putting forth the effort to be able to live in peace. And sometimes it just takes that one little step of, how do I do this? How can I do this? How do we dialogue about this? How can I approach this situation a little bit differently? What can we learn from this situation? How can it be modeled for me? But I really just believe that it's important for them to see that it's possible. It's possible to learn peace. It's possible to live in peace, and it's possible to choose peace, even though it's not always the go-to um, choice for everyone.
Yes. I think those are both great points. And I'm thinking back to, when I was in school, when I was in elementary, middle school, and I love that, the lessons are changing and, that we're speaking about different things and more readings. Whereas, back in the day, we were kind of just teaching our assignments. And I think now when the world is changing and I think are coming out even smarter than, we are as adults. I think it's very important to, discuss these types of things, and sometimes they even have, more profound things to say than we do. So it's definitely interesting to get their perspective. Um, so what are some ways for you guys to practice mindfulness in the classroom?
Well, I actually kind of had the opportunity to play around with some different strategies.
Mm,
Last year, I was coming back from maternity leave and I was helping to tutor in school. And I wanted to try something out where the kids were not feeling like reprimanded or, standing out for being pulled during the day, because a lot of times some of the kids, they don't feel good about that.
mhm.
So I was trying to make it more fun and inviting, and I wanted to see how to their social emotional um, levels would help to impact their learning. So I did some research on just, different social emotional learning strategies for, just different strategies to kind of help, bring more peace to
Mhm.
themselves, inner peace, or, managing that I guess insecurity,
Yeah.
because, here we are targeting their learning deficiencies. And man, that's a hard thing to accept.
Right. Right.
Someone is telling you that didn't score where you needed to score. That's a very difficult thing to, embrace
Right.
and
Absolutely.
rise above it. Now, we as educators, we are not trying to, hurt the child's feelings by calling them out like this. We're doing that to try and help them for, what their needs are. But, it's also calling them out and singling them out in different ways. So I was trying to kind of think of ways to kind of combat that, which, is all inside of us. It's how we're feeling. It's how we are handling all of these emotions. So long story short, some of the strategies that I had tried, a lot of the kids were telling me how helpful they were when it came to standardized testing.
Okay.
So it's what started out as kind of just some tips for the tutoring kids, kind of expanded out to school wide. And it was just really, really neat to see these kids using some of these just like little tips or strategies to kind of try out. So one of them was mountain breathing, which
Mm,
it's kind of like rainbow breathing, just different visualization tools to kind of help remember ways to kind of stop, take the moment
right.
to just breathe. And we call it mountain breathing because it kind of, you're breathing in and you're going up the mountain, and then you kind of hold it at the
Okay.
summit, and then you're breathing out as you're going down the other side. And I told the kids, hey, you can draw like a little triangle on your paper, and you can just kind of go up the mountain. You breathe in and pause and breathe out, and just talking about like why we're practicing breathing and how that can help us, because we're breathing all the time and
Yeah.
we don't even think about our breath. But that breath is like the one thing that we are always doing. And unfortunately, when we are going 100 miles an hour, like I was saying before, with life and all of the things that are expected of us and we do, it goes so fast. Our hearts and our breaths are just going really, really fast.
Hmm.
And it's hard to think our best when we're so worked up, when we're going 100 miles an hour. So taking that time to do a mountain breath, to stop and reflect on, those things I was talking about earlier. All of those strategies are it's just a way of slowing down, I guess.
Hmm.
And yeah, they really enjoyed it because that one was just like a quick thing that they could do anywhere. They didn't, they could have done it at their desk, and no
Yeah.
one's really knowing that they're trying to calm themselves down or anything. And some of the kids had told me that they felt like they could answer the question more easily because they were able to think more clearly.
Interesting.
And yeah, that clarity again is just like, I feel like as just our lives just going so
Yeah,
fast.
absolutely.
And we just need to slow down sometimes.
Yeah, well, that was great that they understood it and they like see that it works, which is awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Because while that, some of them use it for a test taking strategy, well, they could also use it when their, baby brother broke their toy, or when,
Right, right.
yeah, I mean, it's for anything in our lives.
Yeah, and they can take it with them. I mean, I do breathing exercises. You know, we get upset as adults, and breathing is so important, like you said, and I think it could help anyone at any age.
So I guess I'll go and jump in
Hmm.
here. With regards to mindfulness, I see mindfulness as awareness, just being aware where you are, who you are, how you're feeling in those moments. And I think my approach to mindfulness in the classroom is maybe more informal than formal.
Mm.
And maybe I see it a little bit differently too, as far as how I apply it. I think even in how I ask certain questions or approach certain situations, even how I'm diffusing certain kinds of things that go on in the classroom, I believe is an act of mindfulness, because it allows them the opportunity to identify uh, that where they might be and what they might be feeling in that moment, and maybe offer them an opportunity for guidance or redirection, if or whatever that it calls for. And I also think too that whereas I know that there are definitely practices such as meditation and those kinds of things,
Hmm.
or just pausing and closing your eyes, which of course I've done that a time or two, just to release the stress of the day with students. I think ultimately though, um, I have to be aware of the fact that maybe something's awry, or
Hmm.
something is not normal in a day, or maybe the class is a little needing something different. So just being sensitive to environments, and again, being aware and attentive to how things feel. And I'm a big proponent of, I make lesson plans because obviously I am a teacher that likes to be prepared and organized, but
Hmm.
I'm also a big proponent of knowing that lesson plans don't always go as planned. And I think that understanding in my own mind is, there are days where we have dropped whatever the plan was, in order to tend to what was really necessary. And sometimes they just need to get certain things out.
Hmm.
Sometimes you just need to have those powwow moments, or those opportunities to just share. And what I find is that there is more that occurs in those moments. There is more that is learned in those intentional opportunities. They come away with so much more than they would if I'd actually gone through and taught the actual lesson I intended to teach in the first place.
Hmm. Right.
Because we now bring in the life aspect of things. It's not so much about this content as much as it is about you being able to ultimately use what you are learning in this classroom to benefit you or help you in life. So I think even that is an example of mindfulness from both sides, is them getting a chance to express, but at the same time, me being sensitive to the fact that they need an opportunity to do that.
That
Absolutely.
is
I think,
so true.
yeah, I think that's awesome that you do that. And I definitely feel like the students will take that with them. And they won't forget you for that as well. It's so important to feel um, valued at that, especially at that age, especially when they want to speak up about something vulnerable or their feelings. So I think that's really great that you do that. Sorry, Jillian, I think I cut you off.
Oh no, I was just agreeing with Dean. I think that's amazing, because that authentic relationship that you're, having with those kids, like, it just speaks volumes. And
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, you can't plan that. It's
Right.
all it's just living, and it's just experiencing it, and making those choices, in that moment. And yeah, I mean, that's all we can do, is just try to be prepared for,
Hmm.
like, any of those moments that are not planned. I mean, that's
Hmm.
that's life, right? Life is not
Yes,
planned
exactly.
out in a lesson plan, like it, like we were saying. It's We have to be prepared, and just ready to kind of adapt in the best way we can.
Absolutely. And that is a great place to end it on that note. Dean, was there any last words that you wanted to mention or anything?
Not necessarily, but I mean, there's a song that I'm not going to sing it, by the way, so don't worry. But there is a song that just comes to my mind, and so the words of the song, I mean, obviously with having to do with peace, and
Hmm.
so I believe that the words of the song are very apropos, in the sense that peace It says, "Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be." And so I think that ultimately it's important for everybody to know that peace is possible, and peace is, I think it starts with us. I think it starts us individually, and I think to know peace is, um, to be able to share that with other people, and so that they could, move towards being able to have that peace too. And even that does not necessarily mean that everything around you is going as it should. Sometimes, well, I'm not even going to say sometimes. I think real peace is knowing that even though things are going crazy around you, you still have that opportunity to, tap into who you are and know who you are, regardless of the craziness, regardless of the challenges that are arising around you. I think that's even more peace than it would be in a normal situation, because, that's when you really know it. You can really know
Yeah,
peace when everything around you is going crazy.
absolutely. I think that is the perfect way to end this space. So I want to thank you both so much for joining me in this discussion. I think this was a really awesome discussion. I really enjoyed talking about this topic with you both.
Oh, it was really great. And like we were saying, like bringing that awareness and focus on these strategies or ways we handle it or the way that we see others handle it. I mean, we are all in this together. We are all helping each other and learning from each other. And doing things like this, it's helpful. And
Hmm.
we need to keep talking to each other about these things.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, oh, go ahead, Dean.
Nope, I was just going to say thank you for, coordinating this. This was great.
Absolutely. I hope you both and everyone listening has a very peaceful night. And I will see you guys on the next Twitter Space.
Awesome, Michelle. Thank you so much. And Dean, it was really, really great getting to talk to you.
Likewise, Julian.
All right. Take care,
Bye,
guys.
guys.